So guys, today I'm actually going to be doing something different. I'm actually going to be showcasing every metal boss inside this entire game except King Cheese, because I don't feel like going through the pain of killing that boss again. So we're going to be showcasing all the drops and stuff like that. So you want to of course go to MJ's house, and you should see this little teleportation. It should teleport you to all of the metal bosses. We're gonna start with Metal Dummy. So Metal Dummy only has 1,000, but it of course is a metal enemy, and if you just use normal attacks, it will only take one individual attack, so you need critical hits in order to kill an enemy pretty fast. Metal Dummy does not really drop anything. It only drops it does, as you can see, it only drops that. But Cheese Processor actually drops something pretty good for beginners. As you can see, it has 30,000, but it drops something pretty good for beginners, and it is the metal cheese. It's good for beginners, and of course, it looks pretty funny. It just has it has green cheese on your head. And now let's move on to the central kingpin unit. It has a 25% chance of giving the kingpin soul, which is very effective against metal enemies. This boss is pretty hard, but if you have something like, of course, laser chain, it shouldn't be a problem. And this boss drops the kingpin soul if you have enough fragments. But so what it does is it freezes you in place, and it gives you a gun, and you shoot with it to give you very good attacks. So we're gonna test it out on Scrapbot, and also Scrapbot will drop the Rusty Pipe, pretty much the worst critical hit weapon in the entire game. But we'll test it on Scrapbot. So what you want to do is just click it and get to this thing and just start shooting. It auto shoots, so that's a pretty nice touch. But we're gonna be testing it on central kingpin unit. So the cool thing about this is the stronger your weapon is, the stronger the stronger the attack will be. Of course, it will be stronger based on your weapon. So I have the moon, which has the most base damage in the entire game, and here we go. As you can see, it basically it drained its health pretty quickly. The reason why I use Dummy Soul is in order to get heals and also do a bit of damage as well. So that's why I use Dummy Soul instead of Insanity. Now let's move on to the two really difficult bosses. King of Steel. It's a pretty hard boss. It has, I think, 500,000. I'm not sure how much it has. I think it's 100,000 metal HP, and it drops the Steel Crown. This boss is pretty hard. Like, I'm not even kidding. It took me about... And there we go. Oh my god, bro. Okay. So that was me being an idiot since I didn't have the Dummy Soul equipped. So, I'm not gonna cut it out because it's funny. So, of course, this boss is pretty hard, and the one attack that could possibly be fatal is the giant walls that sweep across the whole map. Do be careful with these because these could possibly be fatal, so be careful. And also, do not get hit by the rockets. And as you can see, this is very fatal. But if you do defeat it, you will be given the Steel Crown. It doesn't give much, but it heals you and other players when you use it. So it's not really that good. Now let's move on to SponsorBot 9000, which drops the Virtual Spade Soul, and I'll be showcasing that in a little bit. So this boss drops the Virtual Spade Soul, and it gives an extra hit, and also whenever you get hit, it will unleash a powerful attack that is very good against metal enemies. So we're just gonna test it on Metal Dummy. It does a lot of damage. So yeah, it's pretty good against using against Dummy 2.0 or Chainman 2.0. Now it's time for the final boss, the pretty much like the second final boss against all of the metal enemies, besides of course the King Cheese. So this drops the lightning hammer, and it's a pretty good hammer to use, especially since, you know, yeah, it's pretty good, but of course you do not want to get hit by like most of these walls that sweep across. So this is basically a boss that's referencing to Smash Bros. So if you guys haven't played Smash Bros Ultimate, you know that some spirits that say you basically have to try and kill the main person, the person shown. So you just have to kill Super Metal Dummy and not the mini dummies. It is pretty good for grinding gold as well. So with this boss, it drops the lightning hammer. It's pretty good. And when you're above 75%, it is guaranteed to land a critical hit. So if you're above 75% HP, then it's pretty much guaranteed to land a critical hit. If you use this with a, like, for example, MJ Soul or Hyper Dust or Midas Crown, anything that has a force field ability, then you're really gonna be invincible. Now it's time for Chainman. So Chainman is the second hardest boss in the entire game that is metal. You see a little chain right here? If you click it, you'll be teleported to Chainman 2.0. Now this boss is pretty hard because you don't get food, and it of course is it's of course a metal boss, and it's the second, I think it's the second boss with the most metal HP out there. Of course the first being King Cheese. And here we go. So for this loadout, I'm going to be using Dummy Soul, Laser Chain, and Awakening Head. Awakening to jump pretty high, and of course Dummy Soul to constantly heal. It also has the same HP as normal Chainman, but just metal. So nothing really too interesting about this. My dogs are playing like that. Also, do not get hit by one of those big things as well, because those things right there, if you get hit, it could possibly, it's basically fatal. Same for those tiny small chain, those things over there. So never get hit by those as well. So I feel alive. So once you finally defeat the stupidly hard metal boss, you're gifted the laser chain. It's basically chain, but it's really good against metal enemies. And it has the fastest critical hits out there. I'm gonna be testing it on Central Kingpin. You can see how fast it is. And of course it's red, which looks pretty cool. And also, one thing to note is that these bosses are very hard if you're a low level, but I recommend doing it at max 20 resets because it's pretty hard. A combo you can use for Chainman 2.0 is Lightning Hammer, Awakened Head, or Gold Mask, or Trollage Head, Dummy Soul, or Insanity. If you don't have Dummy, you can use Insanity. If you don't have Insanity, you can use Dummy. But if you don't have Awakening, Gold Mask, or Trollage Head, what are you doing?